Okay, this is a continuation of the previous video of part 1 that is all about exercises 1.3 of Mr. John Coburn's Precalculus. This is all about the graphs of sine and cosine functions, and we will resume on number 20. So where we left off, this is basically number 19. In the previous video, we talked about the general forms of a sine and cosine function and their negative counterparts. So yeah, we'll just basically continue. We still have a lot more to go. I might consider making a part 3 since it's very long. But yeah, let's have a humble beginning at number 20. So in number 20, by the way, you might want to move to part 1 video first to because in that video I made an explanation on how to find the amplitude, the b variable, and the period. You might want to check that out first, as well as other third-party sources from other YouTube tutors. So yeah, I won't get back to that. Expect me to just keep on since this journey is pretty long. So yeah, let's start. Amplitude of number 20 is 3/4. It's this one. The letter b is still 1. The period is 2 pi over b, which is 2 pi over 1 in other words, because b is 1, our denominator, which is still 2 pi. Right, so encircle those. These are going to be instrumental to finding or to illustrating the actual graph later on after we finish the table. So the t variables will still be the same as the one with number 19, although I think there are other alternative solutions. But this is something that I do have as a solution. The most important thing to note is right now is that for period, the last variable is going to be, the last t variable is going to be that value, what p is. So right now, we both have 2 pi, so I can at least assure in that regard that the table is instrumental in finding the actual graph. So yeah, sine t, so multiply everything in the calculator. So sine times whatever t is. So for instance, sine negative 2 pi, that's going to be 0. So follow the pattern. So next is 3/4, then 0, then negative 3/4, then 0, positive 3/4, 0, negative 3/4, and 0 again. And because b is equal to 1, you just copy paste. Whatever the values are in letter t, in the row of t, I think this is row, this is column. If I'm wrong, just please reconsider. I apologize in advance should there be a mistake. So let's make the coordinates now. Negative 2 pi 0 for what? Negative 3 pi over 2 3/4, negative pi 0, negative pi over 2, negative 3 over 4, 0 0, pi over 2, 3 over 4, pi, and 0, 3 pi over 2, and negative 3 over 4, 2 pi, and 0. So, let's make the graph now based on the stickers that I have right now. This is the same exact kind of template that we need for most questions in this exercises 1.3. There are so many exercises, so many practice problems in Mr. John Coburn's book. That's why it's a good platform, or basically, if you answer these questions, it serves as a good foundation in enhancing your understanding of precalculus lessons. So negative 2 pi and 0, 3 over 4 is our amplitude, so positive 3 over 4 in the above sea level, and below sea level it's negative 3/4. Negative pi 0, negative pi 3/4, so on so forth. Here you go. And so we make the curves. Okay, so that's the graph for number 20. Let's move on to number 21. So this time it's going to be something different, something that's not of the ordinary based on what we answered in just recently and in the previous video. This time the amplitude is still 1, even though it's negative 1 over here, because a amplitude has absolute value applied to it. All the values will always be positive. So the b value this time is 2. It's not 1. If it's, for instance, sine t, then the b is 1. But if it's sine, then, for instance, sine 4t, the b is 4. If it's sine 2t, such as this one, that means the b is 2. If you get the pattern, it's going to be pretty useful if you note this. So yeah, we have b is equal to 2 pi over b. B is 2, so we have pi as our period. So based on my understanding, period, now that our period is not 2 pi, we have a set of values in t that are a little different than what we usually do. If before, our set of t values are all these, this time it's not. It's going to be quite shorter, significantly. So let's say here it's negative, here is 0. We have pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and pi. At first, I certainly had no idea as to where we got these values. But eventually, I realized that because the period will always, the value of the period will always be the last part, or the t value at the very right of the table. It has something to do with division. So I'm sorry, I couldn't really recall my understanding in the past. I should have recorded this video a little earlier, but I only had the chance to do it now. Let's see. So from 0, pi over 4, 2 pi over 4. This is basically a non-simplified version of pi over 2. And 3 pi over 4. Let's see, assuming that they all have the same denominator. Okay. So I think that's one good assumption. One good observation. Based on this set of t values, or x values, so to speak, they basically all have a denominator of 4 in the first place. And if you cancel them, they become what they are right now. So these two values, pi over 4 and 3 pi over 4, they don't simplify. There are no values that are cancelable, so just copy paste. So based on that kind of idea, we could say that if we have 4 values that are not 0, assuming that the denominator is 4, then I don't know, bro. Actually, just try to keep this in mind for now. Let's look for more examples later. We still have a lot more examples. As you can see, this is just page 16 out of 18. So yeah, we still have a lot to understand, including me, the person who's actually teaching you this lesson right now. But if you want a more professional approach to learning this, you can feel free to look for other sources. But my channel is all about documenting what I understand in school, um, without having to spend too much. I learned these all by myself, of course, with the help of my teacher. But usually, uh, you'll completely understand concepts if you have a tutor. But yeah, anyways, relevant to the topic, how do you get the b values this time? That's the question. Because b is not equal to 1, you can't copy the t values. So this is something that you have to um, pay full attention to. Let's say pi over 4 divided by 2. Hang on. Pi over 8 times, if you convert this in degrees, 816. Wait, it's a decimal, I suppose. I'll just get my calculator in a few seconds. Okay, so pi over 4 is, in degrees, is 45 degrees. Provided that pi is an equivalent of 180 degrees, and that for pi over 8 in degrees it is 22.5 degrees. Okay, I think it's starting to make sense. Pi over 4 divided by 2 is pi over 8. Okay, if you want to look for the b value, you just basically write t divided by whatever is b. So for instance, given that we have 0, we divided with 2, the answer is 0. That's our bt. So if t is pi over 4, then we divided with 2, it is going to be pi over 8. Now, if t is pi over 2, we divided with b, which is 2. Pi over 2 divided by 2 is pi over 4. So yeah, we can make one definite conclusion. bt is equal to t over b. So yeah, 3 pi over 4 divided by 2 is 3 pi over 8. Pi divided by 2 is pi over 2. Now, let's tally. Coordinates are 0, 0, pi over 8 and negative 1, pi over 4 and 0, 3 pi over 8 and positive 1, and pi over 2, 0. Let's graph. So from 0 over here, next is pi over 8, pi over 4, 3 pi over 8, and pi over 2. Wait, I'm sorry. I got this all wrong. You just write the t values. Okay, so the amplitude will be +1 and -1. Yeah, that's what we need right now. So 0, 0, pi/8, negative. Wait a minute. Something is pretty suspicious in number 21. I'll consider this a bonus. But even so, I'm pretty sure that this assumption is correct. Uh, check this problem on mathway.com. for a definite answer. Let's move to number 22. Okay, so the amplitude is 1. The b value is 2. Therefore, the period is 2 pi over 2, which is basically pi. So, based on what you may have guessed, the values still remain the same as for number 21. Our last value at t, the one at the very right, is pi. So if you want to, if you divide it by 2, that's going to be our value here. Pi divided by 2 divided by, pi over 2 divided by 2 is pi over 4, I suppose. Let's see. Pi over 2 divided by 2, pi over 4. Correct. And what comes between pi over 2 and pi? In other words, 180 degrees and 90 degrees. That is 3 pi over 4. I wonder what 3 pi over 4 is in degrees. Okay, this is 135 degrees. I think I get it now. You write the period value here, and whatever the value is, if you divide the p-value with 2, that's going to be the value here. And divide that value with 2, and you get this value. And yeah, you get 3 pi over 4 with the knowledge that it's literally between pi over 2 and pi based on the unit circle. So with that strategy in mind, negative cosine 2 times t, assuming that t is 0, we get -1. Then if t is pi over 4, 0, +1, 0, -1. Then bt is equal to t over p. So 0 divided by 2 is 0. Pi over 4 divided by 2 is pi over 8. Pi over 2 divided by 2 is pi over 4. Then 3 pi over 8. Then pi over 2. Now, let's make the coordinates. Register them like so. Okay, we now have definite coordinates. Let's make the graph. So our x values would be pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, and pi. think this is 3 pi over 4, not 3 pi over 2. I'm sorry about that. Of course, point of origin 0, the amplitude positive and negative 1. So because this is a negative cosine function, we start from the bottom to ascend. So that's the kind of function that I mentioned of in the part 1 video. Pi over 4 0, pi over 2 1. Okay, you get something like this. Make the curve. There you go. Okay, I think let's give number 21 a try. Let's still give it a try. Just move number 22 a little distant from number 1 to give space. Okay. First of all, the x values would not be the t values as you can see here. They're going to be the bt values. There you go. So negative pi over 8 and negative 1, pi over 4 is 0, positive 1, 0. Now let's graph it. That's number 21. Okay, let's move to number 23. This is no longer a bonus, but if you still want to make sure, still consult mathway.com. Just type in the equation and look for answers of the graph, or basically the graph itself. Okay, number 23, 0.8, that's our amplitude, 0.8 cosine 2t. So 2 is the b value, therefore period is pi. Now, we still have the same t values, so we start from 0 and we end at pi. Pi divided by 2 is 2 pi. 2 pi divided by 2 is pi over 4. I'm sorry, 2 pi divided by 2. I think I said it right. So that's pi over 4. Then, what is between 90 degrees and 180 degrees is 135 degrees, which is 3 pi over 4. For 0.8 cosine 2t, multiply that with the t variable. So for if t is 0, then we have 4 over 5, then 0, negative 4 over 5, 0, then positive 4 over 5. For bt, t divided by b, 0 divided by 2 is 0. Pi over 4 divided by 2 is pi over 8. Then next is pi over 4, 3 pi over 8, then pi over 2. 0, 4 over 5, pi over 8, 0, pi over 4, negative 4 over 5, 3 pi over 8, 0, pi over 2, 4 over 5. Okay, so this is the point of origin. You have pi over 8, pi over 4, 3 pi over 8, pi over 2. So this is 4 over 5, positive 4 over 5 as our amplitude, negative 4 over 5 below sea level. We write something like this. Okay. That is number 23. Let's move to number 24. 1.7 sine 40. A is equal to 1.7. B is equal to 4. P is equal to 2 pi over B. B is 4, so 2 pi over 4. P is equal to pi over 2. Okay, so this time we have something different. Something pretty unique. This time, our t values will range from 0 to pi over 2. Pi over 2 divided by 2 is pi over 4. Pi over 4 divided by 2 is pi over 8. What is between pi over 4 and pi over 2? Let's see. We see things in this kind of perspective, assuming that all of the t values have a denominator of 8. So pi over 8, 2 pi over 8, 3 pi over 8, 4 pi over 8. If we simplify, nothing to simplify here. This becomes pi over 4, 3 pi over 8, nothing changes. Cancel, this is pi over 2. Therefore, the value here is 3 pi over 8. There you go. Now that's one useful technique to solve for a missing value in t. So 1.7 sine 4 times t, assuming t is 0, it's still 0. Assuming that t is pi over 8, it's 1.7, positive 1.7, times, if t is pi over 4, then it's 0. If it's 3 pi over 8, it's negative 1.7, then 0. bt, because our b value is 4, so 0 divided by 4 is still 0. Pi over 8 divided by 4 is 0.1. Alright, let me use the calculator real quick to verify. Let's actually make sure if what is being said is legit. Okay, 0.1, then okay, we have here pi over 16, 0.3, and pi over 8. It does look somehow, oh, I'm sorry, in a way disorganized. We have decimal form and we have radians, the bt value in radians form. I think that doesn't really matter. But yeah, it depends on the teacher. But I don't think it's going to be too strict in that regard. Point of origin here. We have, oh yeah, I already started the graph, but I haven't made the coordinates yet. So here goes. 0, 0, 0.1, 1.7, pi over 16, 0, 0.3, negative 1.7, pi over 8, 0. Hang on. The x values would be 0.1, pi over 16, 0.3, and pi over 8. You have 1.7, negative 1.7, 0, 0, 0.1, 1.7, pi over 16, 0, 0.3, negative 1.7 pi over 80. Okay. So that's number 24. Okay. There is something also essential that you have to know. There's a certain technique if you want to look for b given the p value. There are certain circumstances wherein um, the b value is missing, but then the period is provided. So use basic algebra. So assuming that uh, p is pi over 2, and the usual formula of p is 2 pi over b. So of course, given all values there, what we're looking for is b. So multiply both sides with b. We have b pi over 2, we are equal to 2 pi. b pi is equal to 4 pi. Divide both sides with pi, we have 4. b is equal to 4. They're the same, so I can confirm that it's correct. Basic algebra. This is the kind of technique that I used in my exam. Somehow I got wrong wrong point. I didn't get full marks in that specific question, but then meh, I think it's pretty okay. It's a lot worse if I don't score anything and still tried making solutions. But I can assure you that what I'm teaching you right now is correct. I can assure that, at least for most of it. Again, the teaching materials, what I'm teaching you right now is based on my understanding, based on how I recall it, and I'm pretty confident about how I teach what I know. So, amplitude is 4, the b value is 1/2, therefore for period, pi over 2 divided by 1/2, or divided by 1/2 times 2 over 1 is basically 4 pi. So provided that the period is 4 pi, and yeah, provided that the period is 4 pi, so the last t value would be 4 pi and the first one would be 0. 4 pi divided by 2 is 2 pi. 2 pi divided by 2 is 1. I mean, 2 pi divided by 2 is pi. Literally, 0 times 0, 1 times pi is still pi. This is 2 pi, this is 4 pi, then this should be 3 pi. Don't you see the pattern? I hope it's pretty apparent. It's pretty obvious. So yeah. Put this in the calculator. 4 cosine times 1 over 2 times whatever the t value is. So if it's 0, then it's 4, 0, then negative 4, then 0, then positive 4. For the bt values, 0 divided by, let's say b is 1/2. So 0 divided by 1 over 2, 0 divided by anything is still 0. Pi divided by 1 over 2 is 2 pi. 2 pi divided by 1 over 2 is 4 pi. 3 pi divided by 1 over 2 is 6 pi. 4 pi divided by 1 over 2 is 8 pi. So let's write. Sorry about that. I'm supposed to sleep now, but yeah, I can't let this down. So point of origin 0, 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi. And right now we have the amplitude 4. So above sea level we have positive 4. Below sea level we have negative 4. 0, 4, 0, 2 pi, negative 4, 4 pi. So we have something like this, and if we write a curve, we get something like this. That's number 25. Number 26. Given that the amplitude is negative 3 and the um, the b value is 3/4, so let's look for the period. Period is 2 pi over b. 2 pi divided by 3/4. If we reciprocate, we eliminate the division sign, so this becomes times 4/3. That becomes 8 pi over 3. Okay, so with that, let's write t over there. We start with 0. We end with 8 pi over 3. 8 pi over 3 divided by 2 is 4 pi over 3. 4 pi over 3 divided by 2 is 2 pi over 3. So the denominator for this value here is still 3. 2, 4, blank, and 8. What is the missing variable? What's the missing value there? So 0 times 0 is 0. We have 2, 4, 6. It's supposed to be 6. 8. I hope you can see the pattern there. So apparently you can just rewrite this as 2 pi over 3, since 6/3 they cancel, you know the rest. So negative 3 cosine times 3/4 times t. These are the numbers. Negative 3, 0, 3, 0, negative 3. So bt, again, it's t over b. So 0 divided by 3/4 is 0. 2 pi over 3 divided by 3/4. Let's say that's going to be 4/3 times 4/3, 8 pi over 9. We have 16 pi over 9, 8 pi over 3, 32 pi over 9. So let's list the coordinates. The amplitude is positive 3, negative 3. The x values 8 pi over 9, 16 pi over 9, 8 pi over 3, 32 pi over 9. Yeah. Let's try to expand it a little bit. Looks too crowded in an inappropriate sense. There you go. So 8 pi over 9, that's going to be 0 over there, negative 3 over there. Okay. This function is a negative cosine, so apparently it's associated with, it starts from, in the y-axis, it starts from a value below sea level. So you get a graph like this. Okay, let's go with number 27. So amplitude is 3. The b value is 4 pi. So p is equal to 2 pi over b. B is 4 pi. 2 pi over 4 pi. P is equal to 1/2. Because the period is 1/2, so t starts from 0, ends with 1/2. 1/2 divided by 2 is 1/4. 1/4 divided by 2 is 1/8. Assuming that they all have the same denominators, so I think this is 3/8. That's the missing value. Okay, now that we know the t values, let's multiply them with 3 sine 4 pi. So we get 0, 3, 0, negative 3, 0. And right now, the BT, it's going to be quite difficult, quite complex in a way. Let's see what I can do. I'll do manual calculation this time. BT is equal to T over B. So whatever the T value is, let's say T is 0, divided by 4 pi, it's still 0. Divided by 1/8. I'm sorry, wait. I made a mistake in the calculator. So we have 9.95 times 10 raised to negative 3. Next is 0.02, then 0.03, 0.04. With that, let's make the coordinates. Okay, write it like that. Okay, the amplitude would be positive 3, negative 3. Okay, now that's our outline. Let's connect the dots using a curve. Okay, that's it for number 27. Let's move on to number 28. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll stop from here. I'll make a part 3 video. It's pretty long. Still have a lot more to go. Significantly a lot more. But yeah, I hope you understand something in this video. We've managed to cover quite a lot. least 4 pages of practice questions. Thank you for watching. Expect a part 3 video as a continuation.